Welcome along to the first programme in the 2012 season for the Dunlop Ford Fiesta Championship. First off, the Class C Fiesta STs, and later on the Class A and B race featuring the SIs and ZTECs. Here's the grid then. Jason Cooper on pole with Andy Wilmot alongside. Then it's Ian Fletcher and Nick Bowers. John Langridge on row 3 with Jordan Annals. On the fourth row, newcomer Aaron Trigwell. Then it's David Abbott and Kevin Sterling. Sean Clay in 10th. Joanne Eason 11th with Graham Field lining up on the outside of row 6. Row 7, Jodie Bocott and Nicholas Pope. Then it's Andy Taylor and Paul Clackett. Dawn Boyd 17th and James Appleby 18th. The grid completed with two newcomers, Sagir Hussain and Ronaldus de Bressa in 20th position. A wet Silverstone circuit greeting the cars then for the first outing of 2012. Pole position here at Silverstone, the outside line. That's where Jason Cooper is in the white and blue 35 car. In turquoise, it's Andy Wilmot alongside him, nearest to the pit wall. Row 2, Ian Fletcher in the silver 44. And alongside him, it's Nick Bowers, who makes a good start from third place, but it's a good start from Andy Wilmot in turquoise, with Jason Cooper around the outside, going for the big bird up around the outside as they go down to Copse for the first time. John Langridge in 7, silver 3 is David Abbott, and it looks like a good start. Difficult for the guys at the back and girls. Here's Dawn Boyd, car number 42, carrying an onboard camera, and just on her inside there is Nick Pope, car number 18, the blue car chasing Graham Field in orange. Slight left-hand kick before they go around the very tight right-hander at Beckett's, which is where they are now. Graham Field in 13, the second red car. Dawn Boyd's in one of the red cars. The other one is Andy Taylor, a man returning to the championship. Into the STs for the first time is Andrew Taylor, but it's Jason Cooper that leads down. Look at this, 3 wide as they come into Brooklands for the first time. John Langridge looking down the inside, but that doesn't work. Ian Fletcher in third place, silver 44. Nick Bowers behind him. Langridge in 5th, 6th position is David Abbott. Up to 7th goes new driver Aaron Trigwell, car number 94. Aaron Trigwell has made a great start to his Dunlop Ford Fiesta Championship career, and he's right up at the right end as Nick Bowers looks round the outside of Ian Fletcher. Then it's Langridge followed by Abbott, but the race leader is Jason Cooper. We've seen him put in some wins before and probably very hotly tipped in terms of championship positions. The top 3 drivers from last year not returning to the championship: David Grady, who was the champion of course, and Harry and Ed Cockhill 2nd and 3rd respectively. But what we do have is the winner of the SI class, Class A, John Langridge, returning, and in fact moving up, and there is John in car number 7. He leaves behind him David Elsom and Nick Tiley, who we'll see in the Class A and B race. So this race shaping up pretty well, and now we've got Nick Pope about to try and make a move on Andrew Taylor. Through goes Joanne Eason again in 8th position, and if she looks ahead she'll see David Abbott, the veteran, some way ahead of her, and I think picking up the most points at the moment in the Veterans Cup, because we have a separate class for the older drivers. Saw James Appleby and company go through, Sagir Hussain, Sean Clay, Dawn Boyd as well. Keep your eyes out for the second red car. That red machine there is Andrew Taylor. Oh, there's a problem. Off goes Kevin Sterling, spins round. Jordan Annals, I think, involved as well. So Annals, not the best place to leave it there on the entrance to Beckett's corner. Now, whether he's going to be able to get restarted from there or not, I don't know. Leaders down the Wellington Straight, and Jason Cooper has got a good healthy lead at the moment. The fastest lap of the race so far is with Nick Bowers on lap 3, a 1 minute 14.382, averaging nearly 80 miles an hour around here, which is very good considering the twisty nature, particularly of this part of the circuit that we're looking at the moment, with James Appleby in car number 27 going round, and the wet conditions, as I said, down behind James, Sagir Hussain. So this is 12th and 13th place, the scrap at the moment. James in the Yorkshire Bank sponsored car, also by B Modern. Back with Graham Field in 13, the orange liveried car. Through goes Sean Clay in 96. There is Graham Field, followed by, it's fair to say that James Appleby and Sagir Hussain have made progress over the last couple of laps. I think have closed in on Graham Field in 11th position. So stationary yellows out there. I'm guessing that is for Jordan Annell's car. Prior to losing Jordan, we've lost Jody Bocott, the new driver, in the championship. And Jody, who used to race MGs. So there's the race leader over in the distance, Jason Cooper, still well clear. Nick Bowers in second place. Andy Wilmot coming under a bit of pressure from Ian Fletcher. John Langridge and Aaron Trigwell still having a good old scrap for fifth place. Wipers, you can see, on Fletcher's car, not significantly on Andrew Wilmot, which indicates that safety car out. So the safety car out, I suspect, for the recovery of Jordan Annell's car at Beckett's. It's the right thing to do, because the car pretty much looked like it was on the apex of the corner. Lights out on the safety car. Still got the waved yellows in the background for the moment. This is all going to be about how well Jason Cooper can restart. I'm sure he's been in this situation before, but look at Nick Bowers parking right under his rear boot and getting ready to have a go at this restart and maybe a chance. Now, I don't know whether Bowers will know that he's the fastest driver on circuit. That was way back on lap 3, and we've just got a couple of laps or so to go here. Andy Wilmot will also, as will the rest of them, try to negate the lead and take the battle to Jason Cooper in the late stages of this race. It's a 20-minute timed race, so it guarantees track time for him. There's the green flag, and away we go again. Jason Cooper has got all the work to do. It looked like a good restart from Cooper. Gets his foot down into Copse corner. Second position, Nick Bowers. Third position, as they come through, is it still going to be Wilmot? Yes, it is. Wilmot there. Then it's Ian Fletcher, followed by John Langridge. They all make it through Copse. Sometimes the restart can be a little bit frenetic, but I think they'd all probably reach some sort of settled order, and that was good to see. But Jason Cooper is coming under pressure now from 51, Nick Bowers. Let's see what Bowers can do. 22 years of age from Stafford, running in a Daniels Motorsport car is Nick Bowers. He's a mechanic for the West Midlands Ambulance Service. And he's going to have a look around the outside line here. Certainly Jason Cooper coming under pressure. All that work that he did to build that huge lead negated by the safety car. It's good for spectators to see that sort of thing go, but it isn't good when you've done all the work and maybe shot your tyres. I suspect that Jason probably hasn't. He's a champion driver from Castle Combe, won the Castle Combe Saloon Car Championship, and he knows how to manage this sort of situation. So around Woodcote corner we go again, and there is Jason Cooper onto the last lap here. So just 1.6 miles to go. The clock has ticked down. 20 minutes racing complete, and Cooper's just got to hang on for this last tour. Is he going to be able to open up his season with a win? Now, if he does win, it's a reverse grid race for race 2, so he will start somewhere down the order between, I think, 6 and 10. I'll have to check the situation on that one. But also, significantly, he will have ballast added to the car, 30 kilograms added to the car if he wins this race. Nick Bowers will pick up 20 kilograms, and Andy Wilmot will have another 10, which will no doubt interfere with the handling. So we'll see how they get on with that in race 2, and conditions will be different as well. So elements of the British Touring Car Championship coming into play in the Dunlop Ford Fiesta Championship. Only for the STs though, so they go down to Brooklands for the last time. Cooper, I think, has got this one sorted out. Into Luffield, the long right-hander, then it's into Woodcote corner, and then he'll be greeted by the checkered flag. It does look as though Jason Cooper is going to take the flag. He's done an inch-perfect race. We haven't seen any problems at all from him. Nick Bowers had to fight for second position, and there it is. There's the win. Cooper takes the win. Nick Bowers second. Andrew Wilmot in third place from Ian Fletcher, and Aaron Trigwell crossing the line in fifth position. Top debut man Aaron Trigwell with John Langridge in sixth. Cooper opens his account with a win. More ballast for him next time. Nick Bowers second, and Andrew Wilmot third from Ian Fletcher. Aaron Trigwell in fifth, and John Langridge just being pipped into sixth place. David Abbott came seventh from Joanne Eason. Then it was Andy Taylor and Nick Pope 10th. Graham Field 11th, and James Appleby in 12th. 13th position, Sagir Hussain, then Sean Clay 14th from Dawn Boyd. 16th was Paul Clackett, Ronaldo Stapressa in 17th, and Kevin Sterling recovering for 18th place. Fastest lap to Nick Bowers.
So Jason, race win and a very healthy lead just before the safety car. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I had a half decent start. Wilmot got alongside me into the first corner, but I managed to keep the lead. And then on the first few laps I managed to build up quite a gap, and then it was just maintaining that, trying to find the puddles, keep the tyres nice and cool. But then unfortunately a safety car came out and got rid of my lead that I built up. And on the last two laps was quite a bit of a run to the flag. Nick Bowers was pretty close, but managed to hold on and get the win.
So for the next race, you got 30 kilos of ballasting and reverse grid, so you're starting 8th. Are you feeling confident?
Well, we've never done this before, so see how it goes really.
So Nick, you started 4th and you finished 2nd. How are the conditions out there?
Quite slippy. It's started to dry towards the end of the race, a bit damp when we started, but not wet, so it was a little more greasy than anything. So it was quite slippy, especially through the second corner. It was very slippy.
You seem to have some good battles out there, and just elaborate on them.
Yeah, I had a good battle to start with Ian Fletcher to gain 3rd place, and then I knew I had to pass Andrew Wilmot to progress further.
Welcome to another episode of Racing No Filter. Joining me in sunny California, Bill Wood, and down in sunny Florida, Peter King.
We're going to take a look at some of the products HPD has created for the 2012 Honda Civic, and specifically we're going to show you how to install an adjustable sway bar.
Until then, folks out there, you take care.
Round 1 of the Dunlop Ford Fiesta Championship. It's David Elsom on pole with Nick Barton alongside, then Ken Bateman and Terry Scruton. Ian Scruton on row 3 with Keith Chapman alongside him. Then it's Chris Tomazis and Nick Tiley, Michelle Edwards and Rory Green. Newcomer completing the grid in 10th place. Well, drama in qualifying. We're looking at Terry Scruton's car, but his dad, Ian, rolled his Fiesta in qualifying. The car is in no fit state to take part in the race, so we have a gap on the 3rd row of the grid, but a cracking start. Look at Ken Bateman in car number 55 off the line well, trying to squeeze up between the leaders, but no chance because David Elsom rounds Copse Corner in lead position. In 2nd position, it's Nick Barton, the Class B pole sitter. Barton in the Class B car, great start from him, up into 2nd place. A really good start, everybody off the line well. Rory Green in blue at the back, number 64 car, makes a good start to his Fiesta career. Oh, and a big sideways moment there for Chris Tomazis. Looking up the inside is Ken Bateman. So Ken Bateman challenging for 3rd place. Then it's Nick Tiley in 5th position, the all-yellow car. Rory Green just going through back of shot with, I think, Michelle Edwards. But down the Wellington straight for the first time, Nick Tiley in 5th position, coming under pressure from Terry Scruton. He's got a big problem as Nick Tiley loses 2 places. Through on the inside goes Ken Bateman in 55, and also Terry Scruton. So Terry's dad's going to be really, I'm sure, egging him on. The little bit of rivalry, family rivalry, which we were hoping to see on circuit. They qualified pretty well together. Terry getting the better of his dad, a 1:14.187. and Ian a 1:14.224 before his qualifying session was curtailed. So David Elsom, look at the lead that he's got on lap number 1. Here comes the battle for 2nd position. Chris Tomazis in 48. Down the inside of Nick Barton. Barton running in the Z-Tech, so you would expect Tomazis to be able to pull off that move. But then again, it's damp conditions out there, which will bring the slightly less powerful Z-Tech, the Class B cars, into competition, into contention with the other machines. This is the battle at the moment for 2nd place, and they go around Beckett's corner and head down the Wellington straight. We've got Terry Scruton still there, having a good run at the moment in 4th place. So Scruton in 4th position, then it's Ken Bateman in the 55 car, and then Nick Tiley, who, after losing a little bit of ground on the last lap, seems to be holding his own again. Nick, who's only going to do, I think, selected rounds this year, which is a shame. Finished 3rd in the championship last year, of course, with his teammate David Elsom leading this one, taking the championship honours. And the beauty of this championship is that you can drop 2 scores in the championship. Now, black flag going out for somebody. I'm sure we'll catch up, see who that is in a minute. But the fact that you can drop 2 scores means that you can effectively miss 1 round, assuming you finish all your races in the remaining ones if you do them. But from a budget point of view, it allows you the chance to miss a weekend if you've got business commitments or a round is too far, the pennies are a bit short. You can still be in with a shout at the overall title, and it's an ideal scenario for club racers to come in and have that option to either drop around if you pick up a bit of damage, have a little bit of bad luck, or if you need to miss a round through some sort of logistical reason. So Chris Tomazza, 2nd position. Up ahead of him it's David Elsom, who's starting to try and get away. Elsom, the 41-year-old driver from Cambridge, managing director by profession, 2nd in class, as we mentioned last season, to John Langridge, who's moved up into the STs. And Langridge pretty much ran away with all the races this year, and I'm guessing that David Elsom will pretty much want to do the same. As we look back down the order, Keith Chapman in car number 17 comes from Munden, the 2002 Class B champion, 2nd in 2006, 7th in the championship last year. Up across the line again. I'm wondering what the driver warning flag is going out for. So Nick Barton still in 4th position, and chasing Terry Scruton in 3rd at the moment. So Terry gamely hanging on to this. He's not been put under pressure for class points, but for the race, that's the beauty of this. You can find someone to race against in another class and enjoy the scrap, which Terry Scruton is very much doing at the moment, having dropped down to 4th position earlier on and fought his way back. Now, in terms of lap times, he's a little bit away from David Elsom, as you would expect, the race leader banging in 75-second laps. Terry Scruton in the 76s. 76.534 being Terry Scruton's best lap at the moment. And having said that, it's less than a second slower than David Elsom, so not a bad performance from the newcomer here. Nick Barton at 1:16.9, his fastest lap at the moment. Ken Bateman's on a 1:18, so Nick very much the class of Class B, so to speak. As we continue to look at Terry Scruton again, looks like it could be a potential podium for him. The only other driver behind him in Class A is Nick Tiley, and we haven't seen Nick in the distance at all. The driver who finished 3rd in the championship last year. So these guys go across the line once again. Let's take a look back now as we go back to see Ken Bateman. So he is 2nd in Class B and having a little bit of a lonely race, as you can tell, Ken Bateman. So this one turning into a bit of a track day for him. The good news for him, of course, is that he's got away from Michelle Edwards and Keith Chapman, and if we stay on shot long enough, there's Nick Tiley. So he's 4th in Class A, chasing the red and yellow car of Terry Scruton, and then down behind them the blue car of Michelle Edwards, as we said, has now dealt with Keith Chapman, who comes offline, has a look down the inside as they come into Copse. That was just a speculative look there from Chapman in the 17 car, a little bit too far back. It's one of the frustrations of having a front-on camera, is that you can't quite see what's going, but again you can see he's looking up the inside as they head towards Maggots, and a good drive from 64 Rory Green at the back of this trio. Newcomer not too far away, and on his lap times he's not going to be lapped either by the race leaders, which is a pretty impressive performance. But Keith Chapman continues to put the pressure on, and Michelle Edwards is both those cars very well prepared, and Michelle Edwards hangs on at the moment. He's in 7th position overall, and it's a class podium, so these two scrapping over the last trophy, the last podium spot for the Fiesta Z-Tex. As you can see, Chapman really having a go, dabs the inside line there as they go down into Brooklands, but that forces him wide out at Luffield. Gets back on the racing line, and he'll see whether he can gather up enough momentum coming out of Woodcote to try and have another little steam and a look down the inside, which is where we picked them up on the last lap. So we've nearly had a lap with this pair. Michelle Edwards across the line again, and here he comes once again. So Keith Chapman having a look down the inside line, can't quite do it. Certainly worrying, and of course the key thing is that Michelle Edwards is going to be driving on his mirrors to some extent. He's going to be very much aware that that red car's there, and indeed, of course, the fact that Michelle Edwards was ahead of him at the start of the race. So Keith Chapman, who actually out-qualified Michelle Edwards by a good few places. Keith qualifying on the outside of row 3 and Michelle Edwards on the inside of row 5. So from qualifying to race, Edwards has certainly found something. And Chapman, who would dearly love to get up into third position and bag some more points. Here he comes again, another look then. So the driver who was quicker in qualifying just comes offline, has a look, but he's much too far back, a couple of lengths back at the moment. So can't do anything about Michelle Edwards, who hangs on to position, not having to get too defensive either, picks the line that he wants as they go around Luffield. There's almost a car's width on the inside. If Chapman had positioned himself about right to maybe have a pop up the inside, but it doesn't work for him. Into the closing stages of the race. There is Nick Tiley running in 6th position and 4th place, albeit last at the moment in Class A. And is the battle between Keith Chapman again and Michelle Edwards. It was Rory Green going through the shot, the last run at the moment. So this is the last lap board, and I said that Rory Green, based on his lap times, wasn't going to be lapped. Had it been a slightly longer race, then perhaps he might have been, but he's kept it on the lead lap. That is a pretty good achievement for the Class B car, because David Elsom in Class A has been the class of the field, goes down through Copse, down towards Maggots for the last time, no problems at all. Chris Tomazis there in 2nd position. When you've got a big lead, it's very, very easy to switch off. There is no such thing as an easy win in motor racing, because if you're jostling for position, you earn it that way. If you're out on your own, you've got to stay focused. It's so easy when you're on your own to make a mistake. So either way, it's an impressive drive, and it's been a great drive from David Elsom here. He's got his head down, he's kept it pretty much perfect all the way through. It's going to be pole position, fastest lap of 1 minute 15.817, and race win. So the perfect set for him. Chris Tomazis still in 2nd place. 3rd position, Terry Scruton. I wonder if he's going to hang on to that head of Nick Barton. But it's David Elsom around Luffield onto Woodcote for the last time. And he's going to open the 2012 Dunlop Ford Fiesta Championship with the checkered flag. He buzzes the pit wall. His team, who will be on the pit wall, will be delighted with that one. Here is the 2nd place car. Chris Tomazis comes 2nd. And a little bit further back, in 3rd place, we'll see Terry Scruton come across the line, with Nick Barton winning Class B. Confirmation of the results: Elsom wins, Chris Tomazis in 2nd from Terry Scruton. Nick Barton wins Class B from Ken Bateman. Then Nick Tiley, who's the 4th of the Class A runners. Michelle Edwards got the podium slot, the last podium slot for Class B, finishing ahead of Keith Chapman, with Rory Green in 9th place.
So David, you won the race and you started pole, so brilliant result really.
Yeah, thank you. I was pleased with today. I think I was fortunate. Chris Tomazis, who's behind me, is probably my closest competition, had a bit of a slide, so that gave us probably a 3 or 4 second gap, which was maintained pretty much throughout the whole race. And doing the lap analysis afterwards was probably 0.1, 0.3 away from each other the whole race. So the fact that he starts next to me on the grid this afternoon will really be a good race for both of us, I think.
Want to keep up with all the racing action at the track? Well, download the new GoRacingTV iPhone and Android app. And remember to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
On to race 2 of the weekend, the reverse grid race, and it's Joanne Eason who has drawn pole position in this one. There's Joanne making her way around on the installation lap. Alongside her is David Abbott, with John Langridge on row 2 and Aaron Trigwell on his outside. Then it's Ian Fletcher and Andrew Wilmot, the outside of the 3rd row. 4th row, Nick Bowers, and starting in 8th position, race 1 winner Jason Cooper. Then it's Andrew Taylor and Nick Pope. Graham Field 11th and James Appleby in 12th. 13th on the grid, Sagir Hussain, then Sean Clay, followed by Dawn Boyd and Paul Clackett. Ronaldo Stabressa and Kevin Sterling in 17th and 18th respectively. The grid completed by the two non-finishers from race 1, Jordan Annals and Jodie Bocott. Cars on the grid, and well, this is a little bit of an experiment. Remember, the top 3 drivers from race 1 not only starting 8th, 7th and 6th, but also carrying ballast with 30 kilos added to race winner Jason Cooper's car, 20 kilos to Nick Bowers and 10 to Andrew Wilmot. Away they go, and it looks like a very good start. David Abbott getting away well in Silver 3. Is he going to lead as they go into Copse Corner? For the first time there's contact between John Langridge and Joanne Eason. No, it's Aaron Trigwell in 94. Eason spins across the track. This is a dangerous moment. Look how fast the cars are going into Copse, and Eason really lucky, for probably good driving, that she stopped and didn't roll back into the path of those cars. David Abbott leading, John Langridge second, up to third. From 8th on the grid is Jason Cooper. Well, the ballast clearly isn't holding him back, and neither is the reverse grid. 13 Graham Field, 18 Nick Pope back in the mix as well. So a few cars with some damage limitation to do to try and work their way through the field in this one, but not really the start we wanted for reverse grid racing. And look how they're all busy trying to sort themselves out as they come down the Wellington Straight for the first time. Ian Fletcher there ahead of car number 8, making his way through. That's Paul Clackett, another new driver to the championship. This is the view from Dawn Boyd's car. Again, some good onboard footage from Dawn. It's Nick Pope in the blue and orange car directly in front of her, and you can see Dawn a little bit more involved in the mix in this one, but then I suppose early stages, so things may well settle down as the race continues. So all this looking pretty good. Sagir Hussain in black, just a couple of cars up in front into Copse. Great driver's view as you come into Copse Corner. Somebody taking the wide road there. In the previous race there was a 5-second penalty dished out actually for Sean Clay for excessive use of track limits, so the stewards very much on the case. Paul Clackett goes through, and then Nick Pope in the number 18 car, all around Beckett's. Seemingly, I think, a bit closer in this one. It's almost as if the wet weather of the last race sorted them out. Some of them were maybe deciding discretion was the better part of valour. Here's Jordan Annals, who started right at the back. Remember, there were two non-finishers in race 1. One was Jodie Bocott, the new driver, and Jordan Annals as well, and he started to work his way through the field. Trying to go past Sagir Hussain at the moment, the black car that was on the outside. And I think he's just about managed to squeeze through into Woodcote, out of Luffield and down the straight. Jordan with some good pace, it's got to be said, in qualifying. Qualified 6th fastest down behind John Langridge, but didn't really get the best of starts in the first race. Nick Bowers has got a bit of work to do, try and work his way through the field. I think currently in 5th position. The reverse grid, aside from that little bit of contact, I think working out pretty well. As up the front now, again, Jason Cooper from John Langridge. So Cooper's come through to take it up. It's David Abbott in 3rd place. Andy Wilmot down in 4th position at the moment. And John Langridge, last year's Class A champion, looking to try and have a go here at Jason Cooper. Now Langridge hasn't got any ballast at all. So there they go. Sean Clay in 96 is still there as well. Now the yellow and blue car that's in amongst them there is car number 5. That is Jordan Annals, who's making progress, climbing up through the order. 94 is Aaron Trigwell, who is currently in, let me see, we've got the top 5 drivers with David Abbott, so it's going to be 6th position Graham Field at the moment, and then Aaron Trigwell in 7th, followed by Andrew Taylor 8th. 9th position is currently disputed by Nick Pope and company. I beg your pardon, Jordan Annals and company is down the inside. Aaron Trigwell down the inside, up into 6th position at the expense of Graham Field. So Graham Field down to 7th place. Let's see what Andrew Taylor can do. Car number 25. This is his first meeting in that car, that red machine. So this is a good performance from him. Looks like a brace of top 10s for the youngster. Through the cars go again. Lights on from Trigwell, who I think really got caught out a little bit by the reverse grid start. Found himself down the order. There is Jordan Annals in car number 5, still making very good progress indeed. Let's see whether he can make a little bit more progress as the cars come down into the Brooklands complex. Looks pretty cool. I remember started in 20th position. They've lost Jody Bocott again, which is disappointing, and also out of the race is Ian Fletcher, car number 44. Remember, Ian was with the front group and dropped away fairly early on. Down past the 25 car of Andrew Taylor goes our recovering driver Jordan Annals. He's looking at the outside line. They're side by side. 96 is Sean Clay. He's on the inside, the all blue car. Graham Field in orange nabs the inside line at Luffield. Jordan Annals can't do too much more about that at the moment. Car number 8, Paul Clackett, is in there as well, but we're back on board with Annals. Graham Field trying to go up the inside of the 96 car of Sean Clay, and he is through. So Graham Field, who was at the front of this bunch earlier on, really getting involved in the mix. Aaron Trigwell's left the bunch behind. That's the white car in the distance. A bit of a bumpy moment over the curbs at Copse. You can see Sean Clay going very wide there. That's exactly what I was talking about. With Clark, of course, will really severely get the nig with. If you continually do that, it's seen as an advantage, and that's going to be a problem for Sean Clay, because if it was him picking up the penalty earlier on, the driver warning flag, then he's going to be dropping down the order. It's going to be disappointment for him. But 3 cars there, all having a pretty good race of it. Graham Field at the head of that gaggle in the orange car. Through goes Sagir Hussain again. Car number 8 in the mix, the white one, Paul Clackett, side by side at the moment with 25 Andrew Taylor in red. Sean Clay in front of them. Then it's Jordan Annals. Jordan will try and pass Aaron Trigwell. He's nearly on parity with where he was in qualifying. He was 6th position in qualifying, Jordan Annals, car number 5, so we'll see whether he can make that one stick. As up the inside comes Paul Clackett past Andrew Taylor. He's got a good line, goes through, that's good. His next metaphoric target's going to be 96 Sean Clay. So some very good mid-order racing. Meanwhile, Jason Cooper, I can tell you, at the front of the field is still getting away. Quick look there at James Appleby in car number 27, dicing with Nick Pope. That's over 11th place, so just outside the top 10 for those two. Copse Corner again. Leaders already down at Maggots. Beckett's through the kink at Maggots. Langridge still there in 2nd position. Langridge's best lap time, a 1 minute 9.9. Jason Cooper's best lap time, a 1 minute 9.7. Cooper's back on lap 6. John Langridge on lap 9. So both drivers taking a little bit of time to get that fastest lap under their belts. And since then, not really improved on it, but they're really the class of the field. The only other drivers lapping in the 09s as opposed to the 10s. Nick Bowers again quick with a 109.95, so he's been slightly quicker than John Langridge. And that's Nick Bowers there in the green number 51 car. And David Abbott, who you can see there in the silver 3, a 1 minute 9.942, so he's been quicker than John Langridge as well. So Langridge has been consistent, if nothing else. Black and white driving standards flag going out again. They'll show it generally across the field to make sure that the appropriate driver receives that message, but it is still Jason Cooper leading on to the last lap. He hasn't been headed this weekend because he came through to lead this one fairly on. 3rd position looks like a good scrap, but Cooper is away through Maggots into Beckett's, the long right-hander, and then it's the run down the Wellington straight for the last time. And Jason Cooper has been the class of the field. I wonder whether he's going to carry that to Snetterton, our next meeting, which, by the very nature of the circuit, slightly different. They all enjoyed it last year. So here they come, down the Wellington straight, up the gears, in excess of probably 100 miles an hour here before they dab on the brakes. Down the gears they go into Brooklands for the last time. The sweeping left-hander, then it's round to Luffield. Again, it's absolutely smooth. There is absolutely no sign of the back end of Cooper's car breaking away, and this is exactly what he's done all through the meeting. This is lap 17. 20 minutes will be concluded, and Jason Cooper is going to take the checkered flag and a double from the first event of the Dunlop Ford Fiesta Championship here in 2012. 2 wins out of 2, and there's the checkered flag. Cooper wins it. John Langridge takes 2nd place, and Andy Wilmot just hanging on for 3rd, with Nick Bowers and David Abbott keeping him company as they cross the line. So Jason Cooper takes pole position for the first round, a fastest lap and 2 race wins Race 2 ahead of John Langridge, Andy Wilmot third from Nick Bowers, David Abbott in 5th place, and Aaron Trigwell, another sterling performance from him in 6th place from Jordan Annals. Good drive from the back from Jordan. Paul Clackett 8th with Graham Field, James Appleby in 10th, then Andrew Taylor and Nick Pope down in 12th. 13th, Sagir Hussain, then Sean Clay 14th after the time penalty. Kevin Sterling in 15th from Dawn Boyd. Then it's Ronaldo Stabressa 17th and Joanne Easton recovering for 18th position after that heartbreaking first lap moment for her.
So Jason, another win, and it looked very comfortable from where we were all looking.
I was quite lucky at the start. There was a bit of an incident at the first corner and I managed to sneak through on the inside, which got me from 8th up to 3rd. Then I had a move into Brooklands, I think it was on the second lap, and then John behind me, when he was in my toe, I couldn't get away from him because he kept drafting me on the straight, catching straight back up again. But once I broke the toe, I managed to ease away, and then it's just maintaining the gap really.
How did the car feel? Did you make any changes at all to it between the races, apart from the ballast, obviously?
I didn't make any changes to the car, but it's the first time we've had the weight in the car, so I wasn't sure what it was going to do, but it didn't make a huge amount of difference, so quite pleased with that.
The club, an amateur racer. Here at GoRacingTV, we salute you. And we want to give you all the tools and info to compete with the best. Find out how to do it all from your own garage by watching our Club Racer and Autocrosser shows. GoRacingTV.com, supplying all your video racing needs.
Welcome back to Silverstone, the second race for the Dunlop Ford Fiesta Championship, classes A and B in this one. Pole position going to the man who won race 1, David Elsom, with Chris Tomazis next to him. Then it's Terry Scruton and Class B pole sitter Nick Barton, Ken Bateman and Nick Tiley on row 3. Fourth row, Michelle Edwards and Keith Chapman. Ian Scruton has 9th position available to him if needs be, and 10th taking over the 64 car, Thomas Hopkinson. Well, as you might expect, as we mentioned in race 1, after a rollover in qualifying, Ian Scruton unable to take to the grid in this one. So 9 starters, with Thomas Hopkinson taking over the 64 car as mentioned. And conditions slightly drier in this one as we look at 17, Keith Chapman. Let's see how things are going to pan out here, with 20 minutes of racing about to get underway on the national circuit at Silverstone. Decent field of cars, as we said, more to come over the course of the season. A couple of drivers choosing to pick this one as a dropped round for whatever reason. Maybe car's not ready. 5-second board there from the gantry. And are we going to see another David Elsom run away here? Chris Tomazis will certainly be keen to take the battle to him, and away they go. Third on the grid. You can see Terry Scruton, incidentally pole, of course, the outside line here on the national circuit at Silverstone, down into Copse Corner for the first time. Nick Barton gets away well. Terry Scruton down in 4th position. 5th place is 55, Ken Bateman. Nick Tiley in yellow will be hoping for better luck in this one, and I think they've all got away well. Down into the complex for the first time. The Maggots Beckett's complex, that's not generally called that, but well, it'll do for the sake of the commentary. Is 55. Ken Bateman looks down the inside of Terry Scruton initially, but Scruton managing to get level with Nick Barton. Now with drier conditions we should see the SIs make a little bit of progress here. It should be, the performance differential should be better, so we'll see how it works, but the 1800 should have a little bit more grunt, and assuming they've got handling right on the slower part of the circuit, which is where they're entering now, and we should see those guys hold their own. So Terry Scruton at the moment ahead of Nick Barton in 4th place. Those two had a pretty much race-long battle of it in round number 1 of the championship. 2 rounds per weekend, and the race format for the weekend, of course, the testing or free practice and the qualifying session on day 1, normally a Saturday of any weekend, and then the 2 races on Sunday. Sometimes we go across bank holidays as well, and occasional bigger meetings, the the timetable will vary just a little bit as we go back. Race leader David Elsom getting away, Chris Tomazis second, Terry Scruton in third place. And I'll tell you who's not as far behind as he was in race 1, that's Nick Tiley. So Nick in the all-yellow car is looking to make a little bit more progress in this one. He wasn't happy with the transition of car from qualifying to race for sure in race 1, but I think some changes made, and he'll be hoping to try and climb up the order in this one. So challenge on for second position. No, in fact, it's the lead. I beg your pardon. Challenge on for the lead of Class B. Ken Bateman looking very sharp in this one in 55. He was a good way down on Nick Barton in race number 1, but looking pretty handy at the moment. The man who was third in the championship for the last 3 years comes from Hockley, and he's putting Barton under a bit of pressure. That's the great thing about Fiestas. You do tend to get some variance in the results as the season goes on. I'm contradicting myself, of course, because if we look at what happened to John Langridge last year, there was no variance in his dominance, and David Elson will be hoping to try and do the same thing this year. Up across the line again. So early stages of this 20-minute race organised by the British Racing and Sports Car Club. A very good club to join. You can join as in several ways actually, as a race driver, as a supporter, and get various deals about getting into circuits and events that go on up and down the country. And you can join and become a marshal as well, and we can't go racing without the British Marshals. I say it pretty much every time I commentate, but they're the very best in the world, the British Marshals, and you simply could not hold the motor racing without them. They help drivers in their times of need and put themselves on the line, because a driver in trouble normally isn't in the best of moods. So it's a difficult job. You get full training for it, but that's one of the things you can do by joining the BRSCC, is get involved as a marshal. Anyway, let's go back to this three-way scrap that we've got at the moment. Terry Scruton still in third position overall, and he's the third of the Class A cars, but we've got the B runners up behind him, and Nick Barton. Now this is crucial for Nick Barton, because if he's got a slower Class A car in front of him, what he doesn't want is that car to compromise his Class B race, his own class race, because the guy in front he's not racing with for points, but the guy behind is challenging for championship points. So there's a little bit of strategy that's needed in these races, where you've got the two classes of cars where you can really do without one of the other class cars holding you up. Nick Tiley looks like he might want to come into the mix as well. So David Elsom is through. There's Chris Tomazis in 48, running in second position. Terry Scruton in third, really on a bit of a push there. Nick Barton still there in fourth. Very much a resumption of the battle they had in the first race of the day, but some extra performance from Ken Bateman in 55, who doesn't seem to be being lost by Barton at the moment down the Wellington Straight. And at the other end of the straight, as they enter, look at David Elsom, he is away. Well, it was pole position by virtue of the race results from race 1, because qualifying sets up the grid for race 1, and the results of race 1 sets up the grid for race 2. So Elsom gets another pole, and also, of course, he'll be looking for the points for fastest lap as well. Let's have a look at lap times. Nick Tiley lapping in the 1:13s. Well, Terry Scruton is lapping in the 1:13s as well. Tiley slightly quicker, a couple of hundredths quicker generally. And is he going to be able to make these extra hundredths pay where it counts? He's right on his boot lid again at the moment as they come through. Maggots down to Beckett's, but Nick Barton's in the mix as well. So Tiley will be keeping his eyes on his mirror. He's going to be very pleased with this race, is Nick Tiley, because he's moved up past some of the Class B cars and now attacking for a podium. This is exactly what he wants. He knows he's too far back, but now look at this inside line. Now has he got a better run out of Beckett's down the Wellington Straight? And surely he's going to take third position here, or is he too far back? Well, he's still just a little bit too far back, and Terry Scruton hangs on to it in 62, looking for a second podium of the weekend. But this is where Tiley picked up extra momentum last time. A wide line into Luffield. Now can he just scrape a little bit extra momentum and get on the boot lid of the car in front and have a go? You can see he's closed up a little bit, maybe needs to be closer through Brooklyn. So Nick Tiley now switches to the inside line. Up across the line they go, so it's the inside line at Copse he's looking for. Remember, pole position and racing line is on the outside of the circuit, so Tiley goes back to the outside line in the 45 car around Copse Corner. Nicholas Barton still there waiting to maybe pounce and take a third overall. He would be very, very happy with that, running in a Class B car. And down behind him, Ken Bateman, the Man who's finished third in the championship 3 years on the bounce is not too far behind as well. It's been a great drive from Ken Bateman too. And Michelle Edwards, we think, has got a problem. There he is in car number 77. Thomas Hopkinson is about to have a little nibble at him. So Thomas Hopkinson, the newcomer. But Michelle Edwards dropping back into the clutches of Thomas, and we'll see whether Thomas can just get through, get up into 8th place, grab the extra championship points that go with that. Now Rory Green picked up 11 points for him, so Thomas is going to be the if he can get in front. At the moment he's on the same points as Rory Green, but if he can get in front, then he'll grab an extra point over his car sharing mate. But Michelle Edwards isn't going to give up anything without a fight, as we saw in race number 1, whether the car's working to his liking or not. So over the line they go once again. David Elsom, the race leader, on his last lap. Elsom's had a superb meeting. It's been absolutely perfect for him. He's going to have perfect points going away from Silverstone. There it is, the number 40 car, fastest lap of the race as well. That was back on lap 6, so 1:19.912. Nick Barton's going to pick up the extra point in Class B, the Zetex, with a 1:13.495. But through Maggots, up to Beckett's for the last time. David Elsom will start the 2012 season in the Dunlop Ford Fiesta Championship with 2 wins, assuming he gets through the complex okay. Down the Wellington Straight, he'll be going up to around about 95 miles an hour here. Top gear before he thinks about the braking. Down the gears into Brooklands, the left-hander. He'll have a quick look in his mirror just to make sure that Chris Tomazis is still some way back in second. Indeed, that's the case. Clips the curb out towards Luffield. Right-hander now, and then it's right, all the way round to the checkered flag. Elsom in car number 40. What a grand race, what a grand weekend it's been for him then. Absolutely perfect. And he will lead the championship by 8 points from Chris Tomazis as he comes around the corner. That's assuming the fastest laps stay the way they are. There's the checkered flag. Elsom wins it. Here comes Chris Tomazis. It is fastest lap for David Elsom. Tomazis takes second position. Confirmation of the result then. Elsom wins from Tomazis, but Nick Tiley made it onto the podium, 3rd place by the end of the race. Nick Barton wins Class B and takes 4th from Terry Scruton. Ken Bateman in 6th. Keith Chapman is on the podium in Class B, and Thomas Hopkinson did get the better of Michelle Edwards to take 8th place, Michelle finishing in 9th. Fastest lap in Class B going to Nick Barton.
So it's 2 wins for you this weekend, Nick. You must be very pleased.
Yes, best way to start a champion really. Got fastest laps and pole position as well, so it's a good little buffer between second already. I was really happy.
Snetterton is the next venue for you guys. Have you raced at the circuit before? And seeing that you've got 2 wins this weekend, you must be going there full of confidence. Yeah, definitely full of confidence, but definitely not the best round Snetterton, so I might have to go and do a track day or 2 there just to get a bit of practice. But fingers crossed, we'll another good weekend this weekend. Best of luck. Thank you, cheers.